The grand halls of the Xerixian Empire shimmered with golden light. Tall pillars, carved with ancient symbols, stretched high into the sky. Alien nobles, dressed in elaborate armor, stood silently as their ruler, Princess Xalvera, took her place on the throne. Her piercing violet eyes scanned the room. Today, she would change the future of her people. She raised a hand, and the hall fell silent. The Xerixian Empire has ruled the stars for centuries, she declared, her voice firm and commanding. We are strong. We are feared. But we are not growing. The nobles exchanged uncertain glances. It was true. Despite their power, the empire had reached a standstill. Their warriors were unmatched. Their technology was advanced. But something was missing. Their species was becoming stagnant, and new threats in the galaxy were rising. Xalvera continued, "We need new blood, new strength, new ideas." She leaned forward. "And for that, we must look beyond our own kind." A ripple of murmurs spread through the room. The princess had hinted at this before, but now she was making it official. "We have studied the humans," she said, her gaze sharp. "They are unpredictable, clever, and dangerous. They adapt faster than any species we have encountered. They are not the strongest, yet they have conquered planets and survived impossible odds. They are exactly what we need." A warrior general stepped forward, his expression skeptical. "You wish to bring humans into our bloodline?" he asked, barely hiding his disgust. Xalvera's lips curled into a smirk. "Yes, my daughters will each choose a human mate." The room erupted into shock. Her three daughters, Vecra, Salus, and Nixara, stood to the side, each reacting differently. Vecra, the eldest, was a warrior like her mother. She folded her arms, unimpressed. "A human. I would break him in a day." Salus, the second daughter, was more thoughtful. As the Empire's greatest scientist, she was fascinated by humans. "They are an interesting species," she admitted. "Perhaps they could offer something unique." Nixara, the youngest, smiled with curiosity. Unlike her sisters, she was a diplomat who believed in peace. "I have always wanted to meet a human," she said eagerly. The princess ignored the protests from the nobles. "Send out the scouts," she ordered. "Find the best humans the galaxy has to offer." A mission was now set into motion, one that would bring humanity into the heart of the Xerixian Empire. But no one could have predicted how one man would change everything. Somewhere, across the vastness of space, the search for a perfect human had begun. Across the galaxy, the Xerixian scouts began their mission. They traveled in sleek, black ships that moved like shadows through space. Their goal was clear: find the best human males for the princesses. But this was not an easy task. Humans were unpredictable. Unlike other species, they did not follow a single path. Some were warriors, others were thinkers, and many were something in between. The scouts had to be careful. Humans were also known for their strong will and refusal to be controlled. One of the Xerixian ships reached Earth's orbit. The scout leader, Commander Vornak, studied the planet through his ship's screen. "Primitive, yet dangerous," he muttered. Earth had no space fleet, no intergalactic empire, yet it had survived countless wars and continued to grow stronger. "We must be careful," his second-in-command warned. "Humans do not trust outsiders." Vornak nodded. "We will not take many, only the best." The ship's sensors scanned Earth's surface, searching for candidates. It was not just about strength. The princesses needed humans who were intelligent, adaptable, and unique. The search led them to different parts of the planet. Military bases, research facilities, and even deep forests where lone survivalists lived. But one name stood out among all others: Jack Carter. A former Special Forces soldier, Jack had once fought in Earth's most dangerous conflicts. He had left the military and become an interstellar explorer, traveling to distant planets, surviving in the most hostile environments. He was known for his bravery, intelligence, and sharp instincts. He is perfect, Vornak decided. Prepare for extraction. Meanwhile, on Mars, Jack Carter wiped sweat from his forehead as he stood inside the ruins of an ancient alien structure. He had been hired by a private company to explore Mars, but what he found was beyond anything he had expected. Strange markings covered the walls, symbols that seemed too advanced to belong to any known alien species. "This place is old, really old," he muttered to himself. His gut told him something big was hidden here. Then his communicator crackled. "Jack, are you there?" It was his pilot, stationed on the ship nearby. "Yeah. What is it?" "We've got company. Some kind of alien ship just appeared. Wait. There." The signal cut off. Jack's instincts kicked in. He grabbed his weapon and ran toward his ship. But before he could reach it, a bright blue light surrounded him. His body felt weightless as the world around him vanished. Captured. When Jack opened his eyes, he was no longer on Mars. He was inside a massive alien ship. Tall, armored figures with glowing eyes stared at him. "Human," one of them said, his voice deep and commanding. "You have been chosen." Jack clenched his fists, his mind racing. Chosen for what? And more importantly, how was he going to escape? "You said." Jack Carter's head pounded as he opened his eyes. He was inside a cold, metallic chamber, the walls glowing with soft blue light. The air smelled strange, not quite sterile, but different from anything he had known. His instincts screamed danger. He pushed himself up and scanned the room. No chains, no cuffs. That was a good sign. But he wasn't fooled. Whoever took him was confident he wouldn't escape. Then the door slid open with a low hum. A towering alien figure stepped inside. His body was covered in dark armor, his glowing blue eyes focused on Jack with calculating precision. "You are awake," the alien said. His voice was deep and controlled. "Good." Jack straightened. "Yeah, I tend to wake up after being kidnapped." His tone was sharp, but his mind stayed calm. He had been in worse situations before. Stay cool. Gather information. Find a way out. The alien ignored his sarcasm. "You have been brought here by order of Princess Calvera." Jack frowned. Princess. That was new. Usually, when aliens took humans, they wanted soldiers, workers, or test subjects. But royalty? That was a first. "I don't suppose you'd be kind enough to tell me why?" Jack asked. The alien tilted his head. "You have been chosen as a potential mate for the princess's daughters." Jack blinked. Then he laughed. Hard. The alien warrior narrowed his eyes. "This is no joke, human." Jack wiped a tear from his eye. "Oh, trust me, I know. But you just told me I got abducted by aliens because some space princess wants a boyfriend. That's gotta be the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me." The warrior stiffened. "It is an honor." Jack crossed his arms. "Yeah. Then why didn't you just ask?" The alien was silent. "That's what I thought," Jack muttered. He took a deep breath and forced himself to focus. Escape was impossible right now. He needed more information. The alien finally spoke again. "Come with me. You will meet the princesses now." Jack sighed. "Might as well see what kind of mess I'm in." The meeting. The doors slid open to reveal a grand hall, massive and elegant. Jack's boots made no sound against the polished floor as he walked forward. At the far end, 3 alien women stood waiting. The princesses. Vekra, the eldest, had a warrior's stance. Her muscular build and sharp eyes made it clear she was a fighter. She studied Jack like a predator sizing up its prey. Salis, the second daughter, had an air of curiosity. Her silver eyes gleamed with intelligence, and her hands were clasped behind her back, as if she were studying Jack like a puzzle. Nixara, the youngest, smiled warmly. She looked the most approachable, her gaze filled with genuine interest. Jack exhaled. This was going to be interesting. Jack Carter stood tall in the grand hall, his sharp eyes scanning the three alien princesses before him. The air was thick with tension. He could tell they were studying him just as much as he was studying them. Vecra, the eldest, stepped forward first. She was taller than Jack, her body lean and powerful like a warrior ready for battle. Her piercing red eyes locked onto him. "You do not look impressive," she said flatly. "Are all humans this small?" Jack smirked. "Size isn't everything, sweetheart. It's how you use it." The room went silent. A few Xerixian guards shifted uncomfortably. Did this human just talk back to a warrior princess? Vecra narrowed her eyes, then suddenly grinned. "At least you have a spine. We will see if you can back up those words." Before Jack could ask what she meant, Salis, the second daughter, stepped forward. Unlike her sister, she was calm and analytical. Her silver eyes gleamed as she circled around Jack, studying him like a scientist examining a test subject. "You are interesting," she said. "Human intelligence is unpredictable. I have studied your species, but I wish to learn more." Jack raised an eyebrow. "So, what? You want to run experiments on me?" Salis tilted her head. "Not exactly. I want to test your mind. A game of logic, perhaps, or a test of strategy." Jack chuckled. "Lady, if you think I'm going to sit here and play chess while I'm technically a prisoner, you've got another thing coming." Salis smirked. "Good. I prefer games with higher stakes anyway." Finally, Nixara, the youngest, approached. Unlike her sisters, she seemed genuinely friendly. Her blue eyes sparkled with curiosity. "I've always wanted to meet a human," she said excitedly. "I read stories about your kind. They say humans are different from other species, that you never give up, no matter how hard things get." Jack shrugged. "We try." Nixara smiled. "I hope that's true, because you will need that strength here." Jack exhaled. He wasn't sure if that was a warning or encouragement. The challenge. Princess Xalvera finally spoke from her throne. "You will undergo 3 trials, 1 from each of my daughters. If you fail, you will be sent back to Earth. But if you succeed," she leaned forward, "you may earn a place in this empire." Jack smirked. "And if I don't want to play?" Vecra laughed. "Then you can fight me right now and see how that goes." Jack sighed. "All right, fine. What kind of trials are we talking about?" Vecra grinned. "A test of strength." Salis smirked. "A test of intelligence." Nixara smiled. "And a test of heart." Jack rolled his shoulders. "Great, just what I needed. An alien game show." But deep down, he knew this was more than a game. This was survival. Jack Carter stood in the middle of the Xerixian training grounds, surrounded by towering alien warriors. Their eyes burned with curiosity, some with amusement. A human had been chosen to compete in the trials. Most of them thought he wouldn't last a day. Vecra, the eldest princess, grinned as she stepped forward. Her trial would be first. "You talk big, human," she said, cracking her knuckles. "Let's see if you can fight." Jack smirked. "I was hoping for a warm welcome, but this works too." Vecra gestured to the side, and 2 Xerixian warriors stepped forward. They were massive, easily 7 feet tall, their muscles rippling under their armor. They held bladed staves, sharp and deadly. "You will face them," Vecra said. "If you survive, I will consider you worthy." Jack sighed. "Yeah, of course. 2 against 1. Very fair." Vecra grinned. "We are warriors, human. If you want fairness, you are in the wrong place." The crowd roared as the fight began. The first warrior lunged, his staff slicing through the air. Jack dodged, barely missing the sharp edge. The second warrior swung from the other side, forcing Jack to roll away. They were fast, too fast. Jack knew he couldn't match them in raw strength. If he fought their way, he'd lose. He had to fight like a human. He waited for the next attack. The first warrior charged, aiming for his ribs. Instead of dodging, Jack stepped forward, grabbing the warrior's arm and twisting it hard. The alien growled in pain, dropping his weapon. Before the second warrior could react, Jack grabbed the fallen staff and slammed it into his opponent's leg, knocking him off balance. In a blink, Jack was behind him, pressing the staff against his throat. The crowd fell silent. Vekra's eyes widened for just a moment before she smirked. He had won. She clapped. Not bad, human. You fight dirty. Jack grinned. I fight to win. The test of intelligence. Next was Salus's trial. She led Jack into a massive laboratory, filled with glowing screens and strange machines. This is a logic test, she said. Xerixian minds work differently from humans. I want to see how you solve problems. A holographic puzzle appeared before Jack. Floating symbols, shifting patterns, and strange glowing lines. He had no idea what any of it meant. Salus watched him closely. Most species struggle with this. Jack scratched his chin. You ever heard of human intuition? He took a deep breath, stopped thinking, and just went with his gut. Piece by piece, the puzzle began to fit together. He wasn't sure how, but it worked. Salus's eyes sparkled with fascination. Incredible. The test of heart. Finally, Nyxura's trial was simple. She led Jack to a wounded Xerixian child, lost and afraid. What will you do? She asked. Jack didn't hesitate. He knelt down, smiled, and gently helped the child to safety. Nyxura smiled warmly. You have passed. Jack exhaled. He had survived. But the real test was yet to come. Jack Carter stood before Princess Xalvera, his body aching from the trials. His fight with Vekra's warriors had left bruises, Salus's puzzle had drained his mind, and Nyxura's test had reminded him of something he had long forgotten. Compassion. The princess watched him with an unreadable expression. You have passed the trials, she said. Few outsiders ever do. Jack wiped sweat from his brow. Great. Do I get a medal or something? Vekra chuckled. You get to live. Salus crossed her arms. More importantly, you get a choice. Jack raised an eyebrow. Choice. Nyxura stepped forward, her voice softer than her sister's. Yes, you have proven yourself. Now, you may decide your future. Xalvera leaned forward on her throne. You may return to Earth, and we will leave you in peace. Or you may stay, become part of the Xerixian Empire, and take a place beside one of my daughters. Jack froze. He hadn't expected this. He thought he was fighting for survival, not for a place in an alien empire. He glanced at the three princesses. Vekra, the warrior, watched him with respect, but also a challenge in her eyes. She wanted a mate who was strong, someone who could stand beside her on the battlefield. Salus, the scientist, looked at him with curiosity. To her, Jack was something new, different, unpredictable, a puzzle she wanted to understand. Nyxura, the diplomat, simply smiled. She was the only one who had shown him kindness from the start. She didn't see him as an experiment or a fighter. She saw him as a person. Jack exhaled. So let me get this straight. I can go home, or I can stay here and what? Marry an alien princess. Xalvera smirked. In simple human terms, yes. Jack ran a hand through his hair. No offense, but I don't like being forced into anything. Salus tilted her head. It is not forced. The choice is yours. Jack looked around the room. The guards, the nobles, the warriors, all of them were watching him. He had fought hard to survive, but now he had to decide. Was this where his journey ended, or was it only beginning? Finally, he smirked. All right. If I stay, what happens next? Xalvera's eyes gleamed. Then, human, you will have to prove yourself in a far greater challenge. Jack sighed. Yeah, I figured it wouldn't be that easy. Vekra grinned. It never is. Jack crossed his arms. He had fought in wars, traveled across the stars, and survived impossible odds. But somehow, he had a feeling this was going to be the hardest challenge of his life. And deep down, he kind of liked it. Jack Carter had faced many dangers in his life. Battlefields, alien jungles, and even near-death experiences. But standing in the grand hall of the Xerixian Empire, surrounded by warriors, nobles, and 3 powerful princesses, he realized something. This might be the craziest thing he had ever done. Princess Xalvera smirked from her throne. "Since you have chosen to stay, your real test begins now." Jack raised an eyebrow. "I thought I already passed the trials." Vecra chuckled. "That was just to see if you were worthy. This is to see if you are strong enough to survive." Jack sighed. "You guys really love testing people, huh?" Salis stepped forward, her silver eyes gleaming. "You are an outsider. Many in the Empire will not accept a human so easily. If you wish to stay, you must prove that you can handle the dangers of our world." Nixera gave him a sympathetic look. "It won't be easy, Jack, but we will help you." Jack exhaled. Of course, it wouldn't be easy. The mission. A large holographic screen lit up in the center of the hall. It displayed a planet, dark, rugged, and filled with strange, glowing creatures. Xalvera's expression turned serious. "There is a growing threat in the Empire. A species known as the Drazor has been attacking our outposts. They are ruthless, intelligent, and highly aggressive." Jack studied the screen. "And let me guess, you want me to go there?" Vecra grinned. "Exactly. If you wish to stay in the Empire, you must lead a mission to our outpost on Velkarnine. Prove yourself in real combat." Jack let out a short laugh. "So I get thrown into a war zone on an alien planet. And here I thought staying meant I'd get a nice bed and a vacation." Salis smirked. "Consider this a test of leadership and survival. You are a soldier, are you not?" Jack cracked his knuckles. "Yeah, but I usually like to know what I'm fighting first." Nixera's voice was softer. "The Drazor are unlike anything you have faced, Jack. Be careful." Jack nodded. "All right. When do we leave?" The Xalvera leaned back on her throne. "Immediately. Into the unknown." Hours later, Jack found himself inside a Xerixian warship, flying toward Velkarnine. The ship's engines hummed as he stood near the viewing window, watching the planet grow closer. Beside him, Vecra, Salis, and Nixera stood ready. They had chosen to join him on this mission, each with their own reasons. Vecra wanted battle. Salis wanted knowledge. Nixera wanted to protect. And Jack, he wanted to survive. As the ship entered the atmosphere, the alarms blared. Multiple hostile signatures detected. A soldier shouted. Jack grabbed his weapon and smirked. Well, no turning back now. The battle for Velkarnine had begun. The Xerixian warship shook violently as it entered the stormy atmosphere of Velkarnine. Lightning crackled through the dark clouds, illuminating the twisted landscape below. The planet was a wasteland, jagged rocks, glowing rivers of molten lava, and massive alien creatures moving in the shadows. Jack Carter gripped his rifle. Yeah, this place looks welcoming. Vecra stood beside him, her eyes burning with excitement. It's perfect. A true battlefield. Salis checked her holopad. The Drazor forces have already taken control of the Xerixian outpost. If we don't take it back, we'll lose this sector. Nixera, looking at the chaos below, sighed. I hate war. Jack smirked. Yeah, me too. But sometimes you don't get a choice. The ship's pilot shouted. We're dropping in now. The landing. The ship's doors slammed open, and Jack, the princesses, and a squad of Xerixian soldiers leaped out. The moment they hit the ground, blaster fire rained down on them. Cover. Vecra roared, diving behind a wrecked vehicle. Jack rolled behind a rock, firing his rifle. The Drazor warriors were unlike anything he had seen before, insect-like creatures with armored exoskeletons, glowing red eyes, and razor-sharp claws. They screeched and charged, their weapons firing deadly plasma bolts. Jack took aim. 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots. Each hit found its mark, but the creatures were fast. One of them lunged at him. Jack barely dodged, slamming his rifle butt into its skull. Vecra laughed as she sliced through an enemy with her energy blade. Finally, a real fight. Salus, crouched behind cover, activated a holodrome, which scanned the battlefield. Their leader is inside the command center. If we take him down, they will retreat. Jack reloaded his rifle. Then let's move. The push forward. The team fought their way through the battlefield, pushing toward the heavily fortified outpost. Explosions lit up the sky, and the ground trembled under the weight of the battle. Nixara used her energy shield to protect wounded soldiers, pulling them to safety. Jack, we don't have much time. Jack gritted his teeth. No turning back now. They reached the outpost's main gate, where a massive Drozor commander stood waiting. He was taller than the others, with thicker armor and 2 plasma blades humming in his claws. Jack smirked. Big guy, huh? Let's see if he can take a hit. The commander charged. Jack dodged at the last second, firing a shot into the alien's side. The creature barely flinched. Too much armor. Vecra leaped in, locking blades with the Drozor. Sparks flew as they clashed. Jack, find a weak spot. Jack's eyes scanned the enemy. Then he saw it, a gap in the armor near the neck. Taking a deep breath, he aimed carefully. 1 shot, right in the weak spot. The commander screeched and collapsed. The Drozor army, seeing their leader fall, began to retreat. Victory, for now. Jack exhaled. Well, that was fun. Salus nodded. We won, but this war isn't over. Nixara placed a hand on Jack's shoulder. You fought well. Vecra grinned. Maybe you are worthy after all, human. Jack smirked. He was just getting started. The battlefield on Velkarnine was finally silent. Smoke and fire still burned in the distance, but the Drozor had retreated. Jack Carter took a deep breath, his muscles aching from the fight. They had won. For now. Vecra wiped blood from her blade and grinned. Not bad, human. You fought well. Jack smirked. Yeah, I try. Salus scanned the area with her holopad, her face turning serious. Something is wrong. Nixara looked concerned. What is it? Salus frowned. The Drozor never retreat like this. They fight to the death. But this time, they ran. Jack's stomach twisted. That wasn't a victory. That was a distraction. He looked up at the sky, where a massive Zorixian warship hovered. It was their main command ship, filled with high-ranking officials. Jack's gut feeling turned into pure dread. They weren't fighting to win. They were keeping us busy. Then, boom! A massive explosion lit up the sky as the command ship was hit by something huge. A black, jagged Drozor battleship had appeared from the clouds, firing its devastating cannons. Jack's eyes widened. They were waiting for the perfect moment. Vecra growled. Those cowards. Nixara grabbed her communicator. Command. Come in. The ship is under attack. Static. No response. Salus's hands trembled over her holopad. The ship's shields are down. If we don't act now, they'll destroy it. Jack clenched his fists. He wasn't going to let that happen. The counterattack. Jack turned to the Zorixian soldiers. We need to get up there. Now. Vecra grinned. I like the way you think. Salus quickly worked on her holopad. There's a transport ship nearby. If we move fast, we can reach the command ship before it's too late. Nixara looked up at the battle in the sky, fear in her eyes. Then we must hurry. The group sprinted across the battlefield, dodging debris and fire. They reached the transport ship, and Jack jumped into the pilot's seat. Vecra raised an eyebrow. You can fly this thing. Jack grinned as he flipped the ignition switch. The ship roared to life. Guess we're about to find out. The transport shot into the sky, heading straight for the burning warship. boarding the warship. As they neared the command ship, the battle raged around them. Fighters zoomed past, lasers flashing in the darkness. Jack dodged enemy fire, weaving through the chaos. Hold on. The transport slammed into the docking bay of the command ship. The doors burst open, and Jack and the princesses rushed out, weapons ready. The halls were filled with Drazor warriors, cutting down Xerixian officers. Jack raised his rifle. Let's clean house. Vecra charged ahead. Salis hacked into the ship's controls, and Nixara protected the wounded. The final battle had begun. The warship shook violently as explosions rocked its structure. Smoke filled the corridors, and the sound of battle echoed through the halls. Jack Carter led the charge, his rifle blazing as he took down Drazor warriors one by one. Vecra slashed through enemies with her energy blade, moving like a storm of destruction. Salis hacked into the ship's systems, her fingers flying across her holopad. I'm locking down the control room. If we can take back the bridge, we can turn the ship's weapons on the enemy. Nixara shielded injured officers, using her energy barrier to block incoming fire. Jack, we have to hurry. Jack nodded. They had to take control of the ship before it was too late. The fight for the bridge. The team pushed forward, fighting through waves of Drazor. Jack fired a grenade into a group of them, sending bodies flying. Vecra laughed. I like your style, human. They reached the bridge doors, but standing in their way was the Drazor warlord, a towering beast covered in black armor, wielding a massive plasma axe. Jack clenched his jaw. Of course, there's always a boss fight. The warlord roared and swung his axe. Jack dodged, barely avoiding the deadly blade. Vecra attacked from the side, but the warlord grabbed her and threw her across the room. Salis yelled, "Distract him." I'm almost in the system. Jack rolled under another swing and fired at the warlord's exposed joints. Direct hit. The creature screeched in pain but didn't fall. Nixara focused her energy and sent a shockwave through the air, staggering the warlord. Now Jack. Jack didn't hesitate. He grabbed a fallen plasma spear and lunged forward, driving it straight through the warlord's chest. The beast let out one final screech before collapsing. Victory. Salis gasped. I did it. The ship is back under our control. Jack wiped sweat from his forehead. Good. Now let's turn their weapons on that enemy battleship. The warship's massive cannons powered up and fired at the Drazor ship in orbit. Explosions tore through the enemy vessel, and within moments, it broke apart. The remaining Drazor forces panicked and retreated into space. Vecra grinned. We won. Nixara sighed in relief. It's over. Jack leaned against a console, exhausted but satisfied. They had done it. A new beginning. Back on the Xerixian homeworld, Princess Xalvera met Jack with a proud smile. You have done more than prove yourself, human. You are a hero. Jack smirked. Does that mean I get a reward? Vecra laughed. Maybe a rematch. Salis tilted her head. Perhaps a chance to explore more of the Empire. Nixara simply smiled. Or a place among us. Jack looked at the three princesses and grinned. His adventure was just beginning.